How's it going, everyone? My name is Trev Barnes. Thank you so much for joining me for another video today. What's going on with my hair? I need a haircut. My wife and I are listening to a lot of like Joyce, Manor, and Mom Jeans, and just all this new music that I've never really listened to before. So I want to make something that's kind of in the spirit of that, I guess. But before we get into that, did you know that a large majority of you who watch these videos aren't actually subscribed? So definitely watch the video first, but I do hope that you end up subscribing. Anyway, let's get into it. All right, so I think I mentioned before that usually for these videos, I kind of have something in mind before I record, but for today, I genuinely don't really have anything in mind. So we're truly going to be making this up as we go. I was playing around with some drum sounds recently, and I came up with this kit. I call it my alternative slam drums. And of course, we're going to be playing drums with our Korg micro key here. So I'm going to be using EZdrummer 3's Bright Room kit. A lot of these are just kit arrangements that I played around with. This isn't like a preset or anything, but the drums sound like this. And just to kind of show you guys the processing that I did for this, everything went through fairly light processing with Slate's virtual mix rack. But like I said, all across the board, there's not really anything crazy that I'm doing. But where the magic comes in is this bus processor. I have a preamp that's driving it a fair amount. I have a first compressor that's, again, driving it a pretty fair amount. Just some light EQ over top. Then I have another compressor that's just slamming it a little harder. And then this Revival plugin that I absolutely love, just to give it some bottom end thickness and that tight high end shimmer. So like I said, I don't really have anything in mind. So let's just pick a tempo, try to record something. I like that little drum pattern that I did there in the beginning. Around 138 feels good. Maybe we'll try 140. All right, and I actually just thought of a melody. So I'm just opening up a quick electric piano just to capture it real quick. All right, so let's go ahead and do our intro part, and we're just gonna slam the ever-living crap out of it. I'm clipping. All right, and I can tell you right now, I think there's not enough room mics in here. It just sounds a little too polished for the genre. So I'm just gonna play around with this mono mic real quick. I'm actually gonna go into EZdrummer itself and just turn down these cymbals real quick. Yeah, it sounds much better. All right, and then for a verse, I don't know, I feel like just doing this kind of drum thing in the beginning. Hear it all in my head. I know I'm not saying much about it, but trust me, it makes sense in my head. All right, and I think at the end here, maybe we do kind of like a halftime swing. I'm way out of time. All right, so I think I got my drums laid out. I'm gonna add a bass now. Now, I do this a lot when I can't really get good inspiration for a bass tone. A lot of times we can go in here, okay, our bass tones, a lot of these just kind of feel limited and a little just bland. I actually will find a MIDI bass preset and then just copy over everything to the recorded bass preset. So I like this rock growl. So just to start with, I'm literally just going to copy over everything onto the bass channel. I think there's nothing wrong with using presets if they sound good, but of course, take them a little further, see why each element of the preset is the way it is. Why is this compressor, tuned this way? Why did they make these choices with the amp? Just kind of get an understanding of why they chose certain elements of the preset, because then that'll provide some clarity to you when you're building out your own presets or trying to find your own sounds. All right, so let's just run through a bass. Let's see if I can remember all the parts that I recorded for drums. Ooh, yeah, that'd be cool. So on this end part, like a ba-na, 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 ba-na-na-na. I think that sounds pretty good. Let's go ahead and move on to guitars. So again, with this genre, it's very minimal. There's not really much that we have to do to get it to sound full and good. This genre is about very DIY. It's about the sense that everyone is in the room together playing these songs. So a really interesting thing about this genre as well is that the guitar tones are always surprisingly clean. Like we might be able to get away with that. Let's kind of hard pan it to the right a little bit. Something too, as I'm taking a couple takes, I'm not really afraid of making it sloppy. We're in a room, we're playing hard, This genre, there's nothing that's supposed to be perfect about it, even though I quantized all the drums. All right, so I think there's just a little too much reverb on this. All right, and let's add a rhythm guitar, and I'm gonna switch this out. All right, and this guitar is going to be messy and sloppy, and it's gonna be distorted as well. I think that sounds pretty good. Ooh, that'd be cool. Or, hold on, idea time. So the chords in Everlong, I'm not a music theory guy. I don't know anything about anything, but I think that we can get something sounding pretty good if we try to kind of emulate the way that the chord shapes in Everlong are. Let's try it. Again, I think there might be too much reverb on this. So for these chorus parts, I think I might just emulate the... I'm out of tune, aren't I? That's what makes it cool though, right? Just to be a little out of tune. So for these high guitars, I think I'm just gonna add a little more presence. So let's go ahead and double this and just see what we can do with it. All right, and one more thing that I'm gonna do, I'm gonna hard pan left and right, just these really deep. I'm even gonna use the neck pickup. But these are just gonna be fillers in the background, not really any high presence whatsoever. And no reverb. Yeah, this is gonna be cool. Trust me, I'm a semi-professional. It would be cool if I could play the right chords. All right, and we just want to be really careful about how we layer that because there's a lot of these elements going on and we don't want to interrupt. So I'm going to bring them all the way down and then just slightly bring them in until they feel around comfortable. Right about there. So just to show you the difference without them and then with. They're just so subtle, but they make just such a big difference. Let's get down to mixing. All right, so again, with this genre, there's not really much that you have to do. But for this beginning part, especially for the drums, I'm going to export just the overheads and I'm going to have these come back in. Go ahead and take all this out. So the actual drums, the MIDI drums, are going to come back in on this ba-da-da-da-da-da. Now the thing is, since we have this here, we're going to have a phasing issue. So right here, I'm going to have to cut the room mics. So that way, go from lo-fi to hi-fi. And with these as well, Logic's new update to Logic Pro 11 has probably one of my new favorite saturation plugins called the Chroma Glow. I haven't played around with it too much, but I've played around with it enough to know that I absolutely love it. I'm going to go ahead and put my stereo out on mono. And if you've been following my channel, you understand that I'm obsessed with the mono trick. But basically, I mix everything in mono because it brings it all in one place. And I'm able to hear any interference a lot better that way. So listening to this guitar track, there's not really much that has to be done with it. I'd say pretty much an EQ and a compressor and we are good. I'm going to compress first, I think. And the point of my compression, I'm just going really, really light. For the EQ, the main point that I'm trying to do is pretty much just take out a good bit of low end. All right, yeah, everything sounds really good to me. I'm a big dummy and didn't label any of this. Usually I'm pretty adamant about labeling and naming your tracks, but here, how about I do this? There, now I know which one's the bass. There. Because there's not a lot of tracks to really mess with. All right, so let's go ahead and mix. And as I'm mixing, again, I'm doing this in mono. I'm looking for any interference. And you'll see once we bring it back into the stereo spread, everything just feels a lot more clear. All right, so let's hear the difference. So here is mono. Let's bring in the stereo. It's just all so clear. There's not many like producer tricks or hacks that I really stand by, except for this one. This is like the one thing that always helps out on my tracks. All right, and I'm gonna do a very light mastering. So first I'm gonna put an overall EQ. I have this preset that I made. It's called Master Clean. It doesn't always work perfectly, but in this instance, I just threw it on there and it sounds so good. If you look at all the slight adjustments, I mean, like I said, they're slight. There's like hardly anything on each one. Usually this thing just does the job. It's Analog Obsession's QAQ. This is a free plugin. Pretty much everything from Analog Obsession is free. Now I will say, throw some money their way. It's one guy making all these insanely awesome plugins. He has a Patreon. Please go support him. Because like I said, these things are free. You can choose to pay for it to support a creator, which you should always do. But yeah, go check it out. All right, and then lastly, I'm going to put on the Master Desk by Brainworks. All right, well, I think we are pretty much good there. I will be supplying free stems to this as well. Hit the link in the description. So here's a song that we made today. I really enjoyed that. I've never really made a song like that before. Again, my wife and I just started listening to this genre and I just felt I don't know, just kind of inspired just to give it a shot. As I continue to listen, I'm sure there's other nuances that I'll pick up. If you make this genre, please as well let me know what's kind of common niches within this genre that maybe I didn't cover. But I do hope that you guys enjoyed it. Thank you again for watching. I do hope that you consider subscribing. But overall, I do hope that you were able to take away something from this video. And as always, I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.